Today, I'm gonna test crazy LEGO vehicles in a custom-built wind tunnel to see which shapes are the most aerodynamic. If you guys didn't know, aerodynamics is the study of how gases, like air, can flow around and interact with moving objects. It's the reason why F1 cars and airplane wings have their own distinguished shapes, with car companies globally spending tens of billions every year researching the most efficient ways to reduce drag and increase fuel efficiency in their vehicles. All with the exception of one, the biggest tire manufacturer in the world, having released thousands of car models to date, the LEGO company. So not only are we gonna build 5 custom cars with different shapes to test their effectiveness, but we're also going to put 10 LEGO car sets to the test to see if LEGO puts any thought into aerodynamics at all, or if they're just built for looks. To start, we're gonna need a way to visually see air moving around our vehicles so we can rate them effectively. Usher in the wind tunnel. Invented in 1871 by Frank Wenham, the wind tunnel was an enclosed box that allowed high pressure air to flow through from one end to the other, allowing researchers to finally see the aerodynamics of their vehicles without testing them. And with the added benefit of modern technology, we can include a fog machine in ours so we can actually see the air flow. I hope that doesn't trigger the, uh-oh. So the first step is to lay out a base using 16 by 16 plates. I'm gonna create some angled walls using these little Technic pieces. So let's create a bunch of these braces and put them all the way around the plates. Then we'll just lay down a bunch of Technic bricks on the bottom to hold this together so it's not floppy. And boom, this thing should be pretty sturdy. Look at that. Can you see our wind tunnel yet? This is gonna be so cool. And now we just gotta add a ton of these little blue pins to lock together all those Technic bricks, and we finish up the top part of the frame. Running out of blue pins. There we go. Now we gotta build up some vertical pillars that come up from here about this high. There's just one more thing I'm adding to the frame of this, and that's because it does that. Which is not ideal when, we need this to be structurally sound. Simple way to fix this is just to introduce some triangle shapes. So I'm adding a few of these lift arms in here to kind of cross over and connect. And once we do that, you can see just how sturdy this side already is. Now that we've got the frame for this thing built up, the next step is to build a really strong fan so we can actually push air through our wind tunnel. And for that, we're gonna use these LEGO fan blade pieces, and we just gotta arrange these in a fan shape. I'm gonna snap on 2 of these Technic pieces, and then if we connect a few of these little pieces, we should be able to snap on our propellers. Check it out. We're gonna need to connect a few motors together so that we'll have enough power to actually spin this really fast. And to make this thing spin as fast as possible, we're gonna implement what's called a gear ratio, which essentially means if we connect a smaller and larger gear together, like this, and we drive the larger gear, the small one is gonna rotate a lot faster. So it should give us the speed we need. So let's connect these guys together and attach some large gears to them, and then we'll stick our small gear right here through the center. Let's see how fast this goes. Safety first, guys. Oh, shoot. That's why we have eye protection. We need to lock all of these pieces together so they don't fly off like that. See, I kind of interlocked it all together. And now, that is breezy, dude. Oh gosh. Well, that's the suction. Wow, that's actually impressive. You can see we can put our fan on one side, and that'll blow air through this way. So we basically just need to cover all these walls with plates, and we'll add some cool designs to it later. And the nice thing is, because we've used Technic bricks on the outside of this, we now have studs to add our plates, like that. Okay, so we have all the plates on the outside of the wind tunnel. The next thing I'm gonna do is build up a road right here with a bunch of bricks so I can get it level with this lip here. Boom, I didn't forget to record. So we essentially just need to figure out a way to mount this in here behind some sort of wall so you can't see it. I think the best way to do that is just to take our Technic connections we have on these motors and try and build something that goes across and attaches to these Technic bricks in here. Connect a few of these. Then we can put this guy right there. Just go here. Let's see if this works. I just gotta add a little bit of something so this stops wiggling around, give it a little bit more stability, but we have our fan mounted inside the wind tunnel. Now that we got our fan all sturdied up, we need to add the fog mechanism that's gonna go on this side. This little portable guy here is awesome because all you have to do is push one button and it makes fog. Except we want little pinpoints of fog so we can actually see layers of air. So my plan is to take a few of these pneumatic tubes that LEGO makes and glue them into this little end piece here so it'll force the fog through them. Hot. Fun fact about me, guys. Did you know I've been on the carnivore diet for over 2 months? So literally every day my meals consist of steak, eggs, lots of butter, and salt. In other news, I've had 5 meals and over 4,000 calories today and still feel hungry. Oh, my tube came out. All right, forget the whole hot glue idea. I just discovered something completely better. We have this little wheel. It has 6 little inlets, which means we can attach our pneumatics, and then we take this Lego tire that's supposed to fit but doesn't, and put it just on the end, stick this on the top of this, and boom. Look, it only comes out of there. Just need a few more tubes for the top. That thing should be spewing. Perfect, now they're all gone. That is exactly what we need. So I'm gonna build the fog machine into a rack that we can actually slide in and out of the wind tunnel. And then on one side of this rack, I'm going to build up a wall using a bunch of these long Technic bricks. And because they have these little holes, it's actually going to directionalize the airflow. And we can take each of our little tubes and put it in a specific hole to test different things. Now we can plug in all our pneumatic tubes. All right, that's what we want. Now we just gotta mount this in here. This part should be done. Now we slide this guy in the back here, and now we just gotta connect our little button to the outside so we can access it. So to do that, I'm just gonna add a long axle that goes through the wall, and that should press the button. Perfect. So now that we have the fog machine installed and a way to turn it on and off, we need to just install one more mechanism to this before it'll be fully functional. And that mechanism is going to be this little tiny food scale. My plan is to put this on the inside underneath the road, and since this one's actually wireless, we'll be able to see how much weight is being lifted off of the car by installing this over here. And that'll wirely connect to the scale underneath the road, which I've just simply built up out of a few plates and Technic pieces on the bottom to make it strong. All we gotta do now is just finish the details on the outside and build the glass window that's going to go on the front of this. Look at that. So now that we have all the mechanics done, all we have to do is just add some exterior details on the outside and then some lights on the inside to make it look really cool. We can finally test it out. After 10 hours of work, I finally completed the LEGO wind tunnel. You can see on this side we have the giant fan, which we can flick on with this switch here, and that will activate our wind tunnel. And now that we got this built up, we can finally test some LEGO cars. As you see, we have quite a few cars to test. Let's start with the Ferrari F40. It's gonna take me a while to build all these, but this is gonna be fun. And there we have the Ferrari F40. This thing is absolutely beautiful. Just some of the connections on these cars are really, really interesting. Let's test this out and see how aerodynamic it really is. All we gotta do is push this button and it should start kicking out fog. Dude, look at that. That is so sick. Wow, yeah, okay. The F40 is very aerodynamic. You can even see it kind of going through the rear wing there, which is really cool. So there's a few different forces at work here. First, we have drag. Drag is the force that's acting in the opposite direction of our object moving through the air. So to design a vehicle to move as fast as possible, we want to decrease the drag by getting the air to move out of the way or over and around our vehicle as easily as possible. There's also lift, which is when the pressure underneath the vehicle exceeds that of the pressure on top of our vehicle, causing it to flip. In order to test lift, we're gonna actually use a leaf blower and blow it through this side so we can take out our fog machine. We just have this guy, which has 2 pins. These will actually go right into those little holes right there. And now, as you can see, if we push this down, we have a reading. For the lift test, it's a pass-fail. If the scale drops under its original number, we know we're achieving lift, and we don't want that. And if the number on the scale increases, we know we've achieved what's called downforce, which is the byproduct of the air moving over the vehicle, pushing it down to the ground. We're getting about 10 points of downforce on the scale, which is great. I'd give this one a 10 out of 10, but let's build up the rest of the car sets so we can test them out. Next up, we got the McLaren Elva, the Nissan Skyline GTR. We have the Ferrari SF24. This is a Formula 1 car. They even have prints on the tires. Next up, we have the Ford Mustang, the Toyota Supra, a classic for car lovers everywhere, the Koenigsegg Jesko, the Lamborghini V12 Vision. This one is super sick. Like, what the? It's upside down. That's what the actual car looks like? The next car we have is McLaren Senna, and this is a larger F1 car. It's still minifigure scale, but this one is why we built the wind tunnel so big. Just look at it. It even has working steering if you turn the wheel in here. I'm excited to see how the shapes actually perform in the wind tunnel since it's so large. Next up, we got the McLaren Elva. Guys, before we test out the next one, make sure you subscribe so you can become a member of the Brick Science Stud Army. That way you won't miss any of our future videos. Let's test this out. Pop that on. Dude, look at that. It's got like those sunken doors on the sides. I feel like that's really gonna help with the airflow around the sides of the car. You can even see it going underneath the car, below the under tray, and through that little rear diffuser right there. If we turn the fan off, what happens? Does it just completely fog up? Turn it back on. I'd say the McLaren Elva is definitely aerodynamic. I'd give this one an 8 out of 10. Let's test the lift of this one. Uh-oh. It went down by like at least 10 points. Unfortunately, I gotta say this one fails the lift test. Next up, we have the Nissan Skyline. It's got a little wing on the back here. It's also got a little air intake in the front. However, the LEGO air intake doesn't actually have holes, so it might just stop the car up. We'll start by filling it with fog, and boom. Look at the air just flowing right over the top. So you can kind of see how it's cutting through the fog there. What if we angled the rear wing? What will that do? Wow. You know, for some reason, I want to give the Skyline a 10 out of 10 for the aerodynamic test. Let's see how this one does. Our Skyline does not pass the lift test. I don't know, it really wanted to go. Next up, we got our F1 car. I'm gonna put our little Hublot crash test dummy in here. Here we go. Push our little button here. Like, this is working exactly how it's supposed to. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, because, you know, F1 cars are going a little bit faster than that. You can definitely see the air going around that rear wing and over it, so it's working good. And I also want to mention the under tray on this car is extremely well designed. So you can see here, there's no space for that air underneath, which is supposed to increase the grip on the road. Looks like we got 134 to start. Let's bump this up slowly. Wow, we're getting a lot of downforce. 134, 150, 160. That's pretty good. We're getting about 10 to 15 points of downforce. I was expecting this one to kind of fly up just because it's so thin, but this one definitely passes. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Also, it's really beautifully designed, so great job, LEGO. Next up, we have the beautiful Ford Mustang. This one I'm excited to see. It's not as aerodynamic or like angular as the other cars, but ooh, look at that. You can totally see how the air is just going right over the front of the hood and then actually cutting underneath the spoiler. The cool thing is if we control our fan speed with this guy, we can actually simulate, by filling it with fog, our car accelerating. So there we are, it stopped, and now it accelerates, and that is the air moving around the car. Oh, that is so cool. Wow. We got about 179 at the highest there, and no lift at all on this one, so I'd say the Ford Mustang performs really well. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Next up, the Toyota Supra, a very popular car. Here we go. Ooh, yeah, look at that. You can see it flying over the back of the spoiler as well, so I feel like this one is shaped very aerodynamically. Also want to mention, I don't see a whole lot going underneath the vehicle and exiting at the back. And if we pull this guy out, you can see the under tray on this car is super flat with this front. So if we put this on a flat surface, you barely have any clearance, which probably isn't a good thing on bumpy roads, but it's a LEGO car. Let's do the lift test on the Supra. Yeah, there we go. Down. Toyota Supra passes. The next car up we have is the Koenigsegg Jesko. This thing is so cool. Yeah, I'm so excited loading each one of these in here because I want to see how well it's gonna do. Hey, that's pretty aerodynamic. Ooh, and check out that rear wing. You can totally see the air moving back there. It seems like at the front, the bumper is kind of trapping a bit of that air. If we bring up the speed, I wonder if that'll get better. Not really. It is going over the top, which is what we want. That's really, really cool. We got 130. Slowly bring this up. 133, 135. Whoa! Whoa! We just got about 65 points. That is some amazing downforce. So far, this is the best performing LEGO set for downforce. I think it's because the air was getting caught in this little piece right here, which is like the little air intake on the front, and it was just pushing it down. Wow, that is really good. That definitely passes. This is the Lamborghini V12 Vision. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm genuinely curious to see how all these angles and curves will do against wind. So we're gonna fill the room with fog, and then we're gonna simulate a acceleration. Here we go. Turn the fan on. And boom. This is one of the most aerodynamic cars I think we've seen. It's really hard to see from this angle too, but it's actually flowing through the hood of the car because there's some holes in it. That's sick. Yeah, this one's just cutting through the air like butter. There we go. 112, 116. Whoa, 140. About 130, that's about 20 points, which is really quite good. Really cool car design, and on top of that, it's like really aerodynamic. 10 out of 10. Guys, I just had an idea. What if we built a wind tunnel, but for planes? And we could actually test the aerodynamics of like jets and planes. If you guys think that'd be cool, comment down below. I'd have to rebuild this and make a completely different one, but I think it'd be cool. I wanna give a little bit of comparison with this car, so we have the Mercedes G-Wagon. This is shaped like a brick with a sloped hood. Will it work? It doesn't seem to be having a problem with it, honestly. Look what's happening at the very rear of the vehicle. The air is kind of gathering there, and that's creating what's called dirty air, which is basically where the air gets disrupted and moves around all funky, kind of like this. It's like creating like little wavy patterns, and apparently that's a lot harder to drive through. I think this one might just blow away back into the jet. But let's see. Whoa, 225. That's like the heaviest one so far. Here we go. 230. Not bad. Whoa. That's over 110 points. Oh, it's gone. I think that was the best performing one still. Here we have an interesting one. This is the Batmobile. I think the Batmobile is gonna go pretty well because it's designed to go fast, to stop crime. Let's start with the acceleration test. Ooh, there we go. Wow, this is kind of weird. I'm not sure. This one just looks a lot different than the others. It's like the air's flowing around it quite a bit differently, which is strange. I can see that the back two wings are cutting through the fog, which is kind of cool, but not too impressed. Whoa. We're actually getting quite a bit of downforce on this one. So the Batmobile definitely passes the lift test. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. That's pretty cool. Next up, we have the large Formula One car, the McLaren Senna. This one I'm excited for. Fill her up with our fog, and 3, 2, 1, accelerate. That was so cool. Already, I'm gonna say this one is a 10 out of 10. You can really tell, it's weird. It's like a visual that you can just tell it's cutting through the air better than other cars. You can see the front wing on this one is really designed well because it is cutting through the air quite nicely. Straight across, 480, 5. Whoa. All right, that's 120. I find it really cool that even if I blow it right underneath the car, it's still designed so well that it doesn't achieve lift. I'd definitely give this car a 10 out of 10. So it turns out LEGO does design their cars to be somewhat aerodynamic. They all seem to utilize different common shapes like triangles and wedges combined together in different angles to make them fast and reduce the drag on the vehicles. So I want to take those individual shapes and see if we can turn those into cars themselves, just to see which ones will perform the best. For this first custom car, let's just build a triangle and add some wheels to it. This is like the cheese wedge of cars. And then what if we did like a tube-shaped car? So it's got a big hole in the middle for all the air to pass through, but it's shaped like a circle. And it actually can hold a minifigure on the inside. I also want to try building a teardrop, so sort of like an airfoil on an airplane. It looks like the boat from SpongeBob. We could also do one that's like just a circle, but like horizontal, so the air will kind of flow around the sides. Look, it's like a little drift car. What if we built up a rocket car? That might be pretty cool. All right, there we have our rocket. Let's see how aerodynamic it is. I'm interested to see how this one's gonna react to the fog. Seems to be working pretty well. A lot of the air is just going right underneath, right? But yeah, that's definitely an aerodynamic shape for sure. However, I don't know how fast this is gonna be because it's adding a lot of downforce because of such a steep angle. Started off slow. Wow, it's already up. About 60, 70 points, that one definitely passes the lift test. So for aerodynamics, I'd give this one a 10 out of 10. Still though, you're driving around a triangle, I don't think it's the best car design. Here we have our airfoil car. As you can see, it's completely symmetrical with the top and bottom being the same. And this is based off an aircraft's airfoil, which essentially is just a cross section of the wing. It's pretty big, it might just blow away. Accelerate. Oh yeah. I mean, it looks just like an airfoil. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I feel like this one just wouldn't work very well as a car, honestly. The air's definitely flowing around it for sure, but if you just have a little wind gust, the car will just flip over. Let's do the lift test though and see if that's actually accurate. Uh-oh. That's not good. That one's a fail too, unfortunately. Don't design your car like an airfoil. You don't want it to fly. That seems kind of obvious. We probably didn't have to test that. I'd give the airfoil a 3 out of 10. Here we have our rocket car, which sort of made sense as an idea, but not for aerodynamics because there's a rocket engine on the back. And accelerate. Ooh. I can see it going around the top and the bottom of the rocket, so I think it's working pretty well. However, again with the symmetry, that's not the most ideal thing if you're going for speed. This isn't an aircraft. You want to actually have traction on the ground. I'd give the rocket car a 5 out of 10. This here is probably my favorite car I've designed, the tube-shaped car. The idea with this one is the air will just go straight through. It's bound to be a very windy ride. The speed of that air is gonna be blasting at the guy's face, so. Take off. Whoa, that's sick. Look at that, it's just flowing right through. But again, if you have just the wrong angle of air, it could actually lift up the top of that tube and you'd go flying. Oh, that's not good. Oh no. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, it's gone. If you were in a car driving like this and then you flipped over, that's like a double whammy. So the tube car is a fail. I'm gonna call this one like the SpongeBob car. The idea for this is that the air would just go right around the sides and kind of bounce off, but it's also perfectly flat, unlike a regular saucer. I like to fill it up first and then take off, because it just looks sick. It looks like the car is moving because the atmosphere stays in the same place. But okay, yeah, so for this one, it's definitely going around the edges. It's also catching a lot of it underneath. I think it's actually coming up through the cabin. The windscreen's also not bad. That's a very aerodynamic windscreen. I'd give this one probably the lowest of the video, 3 out of 10. Let's see the lift test here. 139, 146, 150. Oof. Well, on that note, now we know what shapes not to use for LEGO cars. Huge thanks for watching, guys. Check out one of these 2 videos. This one is where we crash tested LEGO cars, and this one YouTube recommends just for you. I'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.